Hey, good morning. good afternoon. I want to do another video real quick for before the holidays. This is just what I thought of while I was just doing my PT. This session is going to be called just agree to disagree. This is my personal knowledge on some things. Like, this is just going to be on resting blood pressure. It's going to be hopefully kind of fast because it's the afternoon and I already did videos earlier. I don't want to overload anybody, but this is just my personal opinion on a certain topic, blood pressure. Now, personally, I think blood pressure when you're in high school should be like 120/80, of course, because you're in high school. But throughout life, from my own personal experiences, your blood pressure will slightly elevate. Also, of course, I don't know if you guys know this, but pain, if you're in pain, any joint pain, whatever it may be, knee pain, rotator cuff, acid reflux, your body going through pain, your blood pressure will be a little bit high. That's common sense. However, I think resting blood pressure, flat out, should just be when you're asleep. That's when your body's fully at rest. Like right now, we're not fully at rest. When you're sitting on a couch, or if you do it at home, a diner table, your family table, even when you're at a doctor office, you're awake. Your body is. You're using your eyes. You had probably, your coffee, your breakfast. You've been moving. You've been associating with people. You've been texting. You've been talking. You've been up and going. You're walking, running, whatever. Even when you're sitting there, your body is still moving. It's not a complete rest. You're open. You're awake. You're awakened blood pressure. I think your awakened blood pressure should 100%. The average should be higher than 120/80. Because the 120/80, that's first of all maybe when you're like high school or when you're doing vigorous exercise and trainings. Like personally, like when I was like 120/80, when I was like 28, 27, I was like doing vigorous training almost every day, cardio, not normal stuff. And I was kind of skinny, I wasn't really, eating too much. I wasn't really that happy, honestly. Like I was busting my ass, excuse my French, every single freaking day. And I was like 120/80. It's like, holy crap, like that's hard to ask for, you know what I'm saying? And even when I was actually training in the Marines at the unit, me and a bunch of other Marines, almost all of us, we're Marines, healthy, first class PFT, first class CFT, whatever, we're healthy, we're Marines, right? We're healthy. Everybody, maybe one or two or a handful of people, their blood pressure was normal, but everybody else, it was slightly elevated. I'm not talking about anything crazy. Like when you're in pain, it'll be elevated once again. But I'm not talking about anything crazy. I'm just talking about, elevated by a little bit. Almost every single Marine, young healthy Marines, we had slightly elevated blood pressure. And we are all healthy. And the doctors explained that to us, and stuff. Obviously, we're good to go. Like when you go on through life, even when you're in college, when you're awake, when you're 30 years old, right now my blood pressure is going to be a little bit high. But that's normal because, first of all, I'm awake. The awakened blood pressure, I don't know if you guys could change that or what. I think you guys should have a resting blood pressure, of course, which is just when you're asleep. When you're asleep, that's your resting blood pressure. Then it will be 120/80. Like when you're getting your RE. I'm not talking about when you're fizzing around, you're about to go to sleep, when you're laying there, when you're doing whatever you do in your bed. I'm talking about when you were down and out and your body is absolutely at rest. Then, so I agree to disagree. Then your blood pressure will be 120/80, and mine is that right now. So I agree to disagree. I just simply think they should have a heart rate or blood pressure. This is not your heart; it's your blood pressure. It's just so when it's slightly elevated, it's simply saying, "Hey, false alarm! You're cool. You're good to go." It's just your body. You worked out earlier, and you're a little bit of pain going on, or you're just awake. So don't let it get to. Don't overthink it. So I think they should look into having another column called awakened blood pressure, and it should be slightly higher than 120/80 because that's when you're completely at rest when you're sleeping. Like when you're sleeping, you get a catching disease. When you're awake, which is moving around, which is sitting on, which is you're alive, you're awake. When you're doing what I'm doing now, you're sitting on a doctor bed, you're at the diner table, even when you're sitting on a couch, that's not resting completely, in my opinion. Resting is when you're completely resting and when you're at sleep and your body is at sleep, your mind, body, and spirit. Like REM stuff. If you guys should know what that is. When you're doing what I'm doing right now, you're not resting. So pretty much for everybody, especially when you're not a high school student, when you're a young adult like me, a young man, college student, whatever, personal trainer, veteran, whatever you are, police officer, regular human being, regular average Joe around the corner. I'm 30 years old. When you're 18 and over, when you're not a freaking high school student, when you have life experience, when you have like me, when you're like me, you have a son, you have a wife, you have a life, you've been through life. I'm a veteran, you have a career like me, you have a family, you have everyday stuff going on, you get it, adulting. Naturally, your awakened blood pressure, not heart rate. It's going to be, and even especially if you're in pain, if you got pain going on, that's normal, everyday stuff, back problems or whatever. It's going to be slightly elevated, your blood pressure. I'm not talking about anything crazy like 200, 300, you know what I'm saying? But it's going to be like, I would say 130 to like 170, 180, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't freak out if it's like that. Because I know from personal experience, along with a bunch of fellow Marines, and even in my college class at Salisbury, official college classes, like all of us had slightly elevated blood pressure, and we were all young and healthy and whatnot. It's just because we were we were awake. So long story short, and also I think coconut milk, all due respect, coconut milk is dairy. It's milk. When I think of milk, I think of dairy. It may not be from a cow, but personally, I think coconut milk should be considered dairy because that shit is thick, like a pina colada and whatnot. I think that should be considered dairy just because it's like really thick and it's milk. It's coconut milk. Why would they call it milk if it's not dairy? That's just my personal opinion, but I don't know. Agree to disagree, once again. Agree to disagree, with all due respect. You know what I'm saying? I just got done by PT. I went to church earlier, and I'm getting my spiritual downloads as well. I'm doing what I do on here for health and exercise, and for my personal training. This is this is my entrepreneurship. Sammy D here. This is just my personal opinion. I think your resting blood pressure, which is your resting should be completely at sleep. So I agree to disagree. Like, if you could have someone take your resting heart rate while you're actually sleeping, then mine, and hopefully yours, will be 120 over 80, because you're literally at rest. Finally, you're sleeping. That's it. Simple as whatever. And when you're awake, they should have a new one called awakened blood pressure, not heart rate. The difference, not your heart, so it's fine. So once again, if your blood pressure is high, it's not like your heart is like, oh, I'm gonna pop, or no, don't overthink it. It's just your blood pressure pumping. Your heart's still pumping. It's still moving smooth. It's just like saying to your brain, hey, false alarm. I'm just working a little bit harder right now because you're going through pain, or because you're awake. So I'm pumping a little bit harder than usual. When you're at rest, don't worry, dude. It's 120 over 80. That's average when you're at rest, which is completely at sleep. I think for everywhere, so they don't start giving people like me, young adults, young healthy, young men and women, or whoever you may be. It's my personal opinion. Obviously, I'm healthy. You can tell by looking at me, I'm healthy. I don't think they should just automatically, because you have a slightly elevated blood pressure, just because, especially when you're an athlete, you automatically have elevated blood pressure. Just when you're awake, when you're a human being, you automatically have elevated blood pressure. And they also say coffee doesn't elevate. Coffee, obviously, I know from experience, it elevates your blood pressure. It's coffee. It's caffeine. It's sugar. It's common sense. Just like how they say coffee doesn't give you acid reflux. Yes, it will. Go ahead and drink a shitload of coffee, but we're 1 or 2 cups. It could give you GERD, which is acid reflux, which is very common. And that's not a bad thing either. Some people need medicine for it. If you eat a lot of spicy foods, it's whatever. False alarm. Once again, false alarm. And that will also elevate your blood pressure. Once again, false alarm. But that's not your heart. It's just your blood saying to your body or whatever, working through your heart, hey, we're just working a little bit harder right now, but you're good. You're healthy. Your heart's good. Your resting blood pressure, when you're completely asleep and when the pain goes away, when your body does its job, it's going to be 120 over 80. It's normal. However, when you're awake, there should be an awakened blood pressure. That's my personal opinion. We're going to do it here, which is it's going to be slightly elevated, always. Even if you're not an athlete, even if you're not a veteran. I'm speaking for the average Joe or average Jill, even when you're sitting there at the diner table, or you're on the couch, or you're in your doctor's office, it's going to be slightly elevated because you are moving. You are awake. You're not at rest. Read them and weep. Common sense. You're blinking your eyes. You've talked. You've used your senses. You've talked to people in the day. You've done daily activities already before doing that blood pressure thing. Even you're breathing. You're sitting on a couch. It's doing something. You're blinking. You're talking. You're having conversation. That's not at rest. So, yeah, false alarm. This is just what I'm saying to everybody out there as a certified personal trainer with college background, and I graduated college, ACC, Salisbury University, and Towson, major in exercise science, personal training certificate, officially. I've showed you the documents. You can see them on TikTok and on here, and whatever. I've already went into my credentials. You know, I'm a U.S. Marine, corporal with the Marine Corps, NCO, non-commissioned officer, E4, and also a minor in philosophy, you know, ACC once again, Towson, and Salisbury University. I know what I'm talking about, all right? This is common sense. If I would see the way now I'm putting it, now I'm just, and everybody should be agreeing right now. Or at least, out of respect for the 30-year-old, the young man, the millennials, and out of respect, you put the old man down, and you agree. Or, if you have to, you agree to disagree. I agree to disagree. That's what I do. You know, that's all good. We all been through, you know. All right, man, I agree. You know what? I agree to disagree. False alarm. I agree to do whatever. You know what I'm saying? I know you guys get paid a lot of money and stuff. You know, it's all good. I'm just saying there should be, the resting heart rate is when you're at complete sleep. 120/80. Yeah, I agree to disagree. That would be average, right? For the average man or woman. That's complete sleep, though. That's not when you're awake. Awakened blood pressure for everybody, there needs to be a higher target zone. You know, like 140, because you're awake. And that's for the average Joe. Or it's not even for the athletes or the veterans, or, you know, and everybody gets anxiety too. That will slightly elevate it. Pain, anxiety. I get white coat syndrome, which is when you get nervous when you go to the doctor's office. You just do, because, you know, it's a common thing. And also athletes naturally, and veterans, of course, people, maybe police officers, I don't know, whatever you do, nurses, you guys will have a slightly elevated blood pressure too. Or is it slightly elevated? Because there should be a new target zone, awakened blood pressure. Because once again, rest is when you're at complete sleep. Catching disease, bro. Like, you're dreaming, you're sleeping. 120/80, yeah, that'd be normal. I mean, I even think it should be higher. Maybe, I don't know. I don't want to go too much into that. When you're awakened, the blood pressure for everybody out there, not just athletes and whatnot, for everybody, the awakened blood pressure will be higher. And ladies and gentlemen, I think that's just common sense. All right, and that's your blood pressure once again. So false alarm, okay? False alarm. That's just what I believe, and that's my educated opinion on the topic. All right? And I'm open to opinions, and I'm open to other stuff too. But you guys got to be open too, and agree to disagree. So, once again, I've went over how your resting blood pressure should be 120/80. But however, I think resting should be when you're completely asleep. Asleep! Then it'll be 120/80. There needs to be a new one called awakened blood pressure. Not running blood pressure. They have stuff like that too. Not while you're working out blood pressure. That's obviously going to be high. Even when you're just awakened is when you're just awake. It's going to be slightly elevated for everybody out there. So they need to do, like, I don't know, more stuff on that. Because like I said, out of my unit in Baltimore, over like 300 Marines or so, you're telling me that all of us are at risk of heart disease because we all have slightly elevated blood pressure? We've been drinking coffee, we've been working, some of us been PTing, depending on S1, S2, S3, S4, whatever you do. I was S4, you know, food services. You know, whatever you do, it's, you know, admin, it's going to be slightly elevated. So you're telling me all of us are at risk of heart disease, you know, from the 18-year-old Marine all the way up to the freaking 50, 60-year-old Marine, 40-year-old Marine, whatever, the oldest Marine to the youngest Marine to the oldest Marine. You telling me all of us have fucking, like, no, come on. Y'all got to do some different. Yeah, we did knowledge, a lot of knowledge classes in Marine Corps too. Once Marine, always Marine. Hoorah, something for else. It's going to be slightly elevated for whoever you are, from the private to the freaking, you know, the major. You know what I'm saying? With all due respect, agree to disagree. And like I said, out of like over 350 Marines, give or take, you're telling me like two people have average blood pressure, and all of us are just going to all have a heart attack right now. If that was true, then how come that was back when I was 22, and I'm 30, and I'm still doing absolutely fine, I still got an elevated blood pressure? Because they're wrong. They are wrong. Once Marine, always Marine. And we are healthy. I was running a first class CFT, PFT, and we all had, and there's other healthier guys than me who had slightly elevated BP. What the fuck? It's just wrong. There needs to be like another one called awakened blood pressure. And that, to tell people you're good to go. False alarm. When you're sleeping, that should be your absolute resting blood pressure. We're not all going to fall asleep while we're out there, like, you know, and take it. Like, obviously, when I'm asleep, when we're asleep, whoever you are, it would be 120/80. That's going to be average. When you're awake, once again, it's going to be higher. I know that from life experience. And that was also, once again, not only the Marines, my college class, Salisbury class, one of my classes I took. I think it was my sophomore year. But I was like 21, 22. So I know what I'm talking about. And we all, you know, class of like 25, I think there wasn't one person with like a average blood pressure, 120/80. All of us were a little bit high, you know, and we're all healthy. Obviously, it was an exercise science class. We're all pretty healthy. So that's my thoughts on it. And yeah, that was fun. So thanks for listening. All right, continue giving yourself this PAT, pass the athletic training, pat yourselves on the back. Remember the false alarms I was talking about. And throughout life, you're going to have a lot of false alarms. Don't overthink it. And, of course, you should have a doctor and all that stuff, too, and, you know, get their professional opinion. That's just what I think. So, yeah, the reason why I did this, because I don't think they should start talking about just because your blood pressure, even though you're healthy, is a little bit high, they shouldn't automatically start you off on some type of medicine, because now that medicine has side effects, you know, that could make you not want to work out. And exercise and nutrition, that's the best thing for your blood pressure and your heart. So if you take that medicine, it might take away your appetite. It might make you sleepy. Maybe it'll make you not want to exercise. So there you go. It did the opposite of what it's supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's serious stuff. You know, that's a medicine. You know, you gotta be careful what you put in your body and whatnot. You know, for real. So I just don't think they should be talking right away. That's why I always, you know, talk to your doctor about it too, especially when you're a young, healthy adult or man or woman, 18 to whatever, you know, after you're not in high school. When you're in high school, yeah, maybe it would be 120/80 because you're in freaking high school. That's before you're an adult. You haven't done anything yet. You haven't even got your diploma. You haven't even went to your first college class yet. You know, your orientation. You know what I'm saying? You haven't had your first kiss yet. Maybe I don't. You don't have a kid yet. You haven't had actually fell in love yet. You know, you haven't actually seen a loved one pass away. You know what I'm saying? You haven't actually had any, obviously, military training, real military training, because you're in high school. You know, you don't actually have that experience. All due respect, that's true. So yeah, then it would be 120/80 because, you know, everything's sunshine and rainbows all the time. But when you get through life, and also when you get older and stuff like that, when you have different life paths. So yeah, so if you did go to the military, if you are a pro athlete or just a regular athlete, if you did go to college, or if you went to a trade school or a job school or whatever path you went, you know, you deal with bills. You have a family, you have a girl, you have a kid, et cetera, et cetera. You have a husband. If you have a, you know, you have a, you lost a loved one. You've been through some stuff, right? It's gonna be a little bit high, but that's normal. But that's your blood pressure saying to your body, hey, false alarm. It's all good. That's just us letting you know that we're working a little bit harder, but your heart's still good. It's still pumping. It's strong. It's good. It's good to go. Nothing to happen. When you're at rest, when you get that real rest, when you're asleep, it's 120/80. You're good to go. But, you know, it's all good, Poppy. You know what I'm saying? That's your body. It's your blood talking. You know, just saying false alarm, bro. You good? Or you injured your knee while you're working out, or you did something, whatever. So it's a little bit hot right now. Or you're a little bit anxious because you got that hot date later. So, yeah, chief, it's a little bit hot right now, but false alarm, you're good to go. That's why the best thing, I don't think right away, once again, everybody's different. This is for people like me. Right away, if you're healthy, you know your body the best. You don't start off and start even talking about blood pressure medicine until it's like obvious. You know what I'm saying? Take that for what it's worth. Because that's a big talk right there, and that's forever. And I have being on a bunch of different medicines, and that could have side effects, and it can affect your everyday lifestyle and your mindset and stuff to maybe even not get you to exercise and eat right. And that's what is best for your body: exercise and nutrition, like what we talked about earlier, one of the sessions I posted this morning before I went to church. So there you go. I'm gonna label this accordingly. So false alarms, man. Watch out for false alarms. Don't overthink. You're okay. Your blood is fine. Your blood pressure fine if it's slightly elevated. Of course, talk to your doctor and stuff like that too, but don't overthink it. Just know that exercise, working out, and nutrition is the best thing for your heart and blood pressure and just your body, and your mind, body, and spirit holistically. All right, but be careful with all that, type of medicine and stuff like that, blood pressure medicine, or whatever. It's just my personal opinion. Not vitamins, that stuff's fine. Ibuprofen's fine. Pain, of course, it's over the counter. Acid reflux medicine, whatever. If you have that, yeah, that's fine. But when it's stuff like that, you gotta just be careful. Just know when you're at sleep, that is when you're at rest. In my personal opinion, once again. So your resting heart rate maybe should be 120/80, I guess. Yeah, I know mine is. But when you're awake, it's going to be slightly elevated. So false alarms on that. All right, that's my personal opinion on it. My college graduate, veteran, experienced opinion on it. All right, I'm in it right there. Have a good one, y'all. Sorry. Now I think I'm going to take my holiday. And I'll see you in the new year. Happy New Year's if I don't see you. Merry Christmas 2024. Happy holidays, happy Kwanzaa, happy Hanukkah, all that good stuff. Happy holidays. And Happy New Year 2025. All right. Deuces. Take it easy. God loves you. All right. See ya.